Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another great edition of my Guru Room Show. And for the Guru Room Show today, I got a very awesome guest, and he's an actor, and his name is Fletcher Donovan. And I had him on the show like a while back. It was for my written site, Guru Monkey, and I'm looking forward to actually having him on video now because last time we talked, it was just a written thing, and this time it would be sort of face to face as we do it on Zoom on video. So I'm really looking forward to talking to him, asking him a bunch of new questions, and talking about acting. I am Rocco Cross. I am the host at Stutters. I am the host of the Guru Room. And my interview with Fletcher will be coming up very soon. This is my Guru Room. And as always, welcome to my nightmare. So stay tuned. Okay, buddy. Welcome to Guru, and thank you so much for taking time and coming on.
Thank you very much for having me.
Oh yeah, of course. First of all, I have to say, like, I love how your room looks, like the artwork in it and everything. Is that stuff that you drew or you bought?
Yeah, no, that's it. So you're kind of in my studio as well. So
Okay.
this just seemed like the best spot. I've got some nice natural light coming from the window there, and the camera just happens to be facing where I make my art. So yeah, that's
Nice.
a that's the commission that I'm working on that's nearly finished. Very bizarre stuff, but yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it.
Mhm.
And and you even got some ink too, right? Some tats.
Yeah, no, I am like heavily tattooed. Thankfully, I play a lot of air quote bad people, where the tattoos are appropriate. They've all been cleared by the artists that have put them on me, so it's
Yeah.
never an issue. And for a long time, I had what I called like acting tattoos. They were just very much, on the inside of my arm or somewhere very easily concealed. But I've been doing this for quite a while. And of course, as somebody that, you get one tattoo, then it just starts spreading like a virus all over. So I've got tattoos all over me, and makeup artists are never bothered because they rarely need to cover them. And when they do, it's like a pretty easy job. So yeah.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
awesome then. As long as you don't have to cover them up and you could go show off your ink, that's awesome.
Totally, totally.
Here you go. So like the first question I wanted to ask you is a typical question is like
Mhm.
what drew you to want to act? Like when did your passion start for it?
Um, yeah, that started really, really early for me. I was actually just having a conversation with a really lovely gentleman here that owns a coaching and taping service for actors, and we're currently talking about maybe getting me in there to do some coaching. And he asked me that same question. And my love of the performing arts started when I was about 6 years old. I had a couple of parents that were artists, a single mom that raised me for the most part. And she asked me if I wanted to do some theater. And when I was, yeah, 6, I did my first bit of stage stuff, which I really think is where the rubber meets the road for actors. There's no
Definitely.
cutting. You don't have all of the benefits of an editing room. You can't you can't look to the audience and say, just a minute, I just one sec, can we do that again? So yeah, that was in a production of Anne of Green Gables, and I think I played a farmer. And it's funny because
Nice.
my mom kept a photo of me as this farmer that was taken by some sort of production photographer, and she kept it on my on my childhood home wall, wherever my childhood home was. She had it up there, and I had so much makeup on, and I was a pretty feminine looking little kid,
Okay.
and I had so much like rouge all over my face. By the time I got to high school, this photo was still up, and I'd have friends come over and they go, "Oh, I didn't know you had a sister," and I'd be like, "Yeah, that's actually me." But yeah, it started in theater. I did that for until I was about 18, both local and professional theater, as
Hmm.
well as like a little bit of film and television. I was born in Toronto, Ontario.
Oh,
You're on the
nice.
you're on the East Coast, right?
Philly, yeah.
Yeah. So um, grew up for the first few years doing theater and a bit of film and television in Toronto. And then I moved out of the city where there really wasn't a film TV industry, so I primarily did theater.
Oh,
And
okay.
then yeah, took a big break when I was 18 and lived a very big and sort of mixed life, doing all kinds of stuff, teaching snowboarding. I lived in
Oh,
Japan.
wow. Oh,
Yeah,
you lived in Japan?
yeah, I
Oh
did.
my
It
God,
was
that's so awesome. Like which part? I always wanted to go there to visit it.
it's a special spot. Can't recommend going there enough. I was in what's called the Kansai Prefecture, which is just outside of Osaka, which is one of
Oh yeah.
their major cities. Yeah, I'm still waiting to use that skill. I speak Japanese fluently, and actually a show that I just finished working on for the last like 6 months. The writers got wind that I spoke Japanese, and fingers crossed, season two, that little skill is gonna slip its way into the writing for my character. So hopefully,
Oh, okay. That's awesome. So
yeah, yeah.
how was like the food and everything there? Like, did you enjoy the food and the sake and all that stuff?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, no, I love Japanese food. I'd gotten a sort of a love for it pretty early the first time I left the country when I was 15 was to go and visit my brother who was living in Tokyo, and I
Oh
think that's
wow.
where I think I first fell in love with Japan, and took my brother's bike out every day, and I'd get lost and eat weird food that I'd never had before, that I didn't know what it was. I couldn't read anything. I'd just sort of go, I'd like look at it and go, well, that looks good. Let's give that a try.
Yeah.
And I'd say 99% of the time I was stoked on the food at that time, and now I'm a big fan. So and yeah, West Coast we get spoiled in Vancouver because there's a pretty big Japanese community, so we've got a
Oh,
lot of
get
really
out,
great
really?
local Japanese food. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
sweet.
yeah,
So like even though you left Japan, you still have it in Canada.
yeah. Well, I mean, I took it in university. That was like my major. So that break that I told you about from my acting as a late teenager, and when I got back into it about 10 and a half years ago, I studied Japanese in university as a major. That's why I ended up over there, was to go to university for a year there. And you spend enough time doing that and then live immersed in the culture,
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that like any language, you have to stay immersed. For the most common thing for me now is I forget words. I'll go, I'll like have to sort of mumble it out in English and try and remember the vocabulary. So
Well, yeah, because you don't use it every day, right? Like you don't speak
exactly.
Japanese every day.
Yeah, exactly. I try to, when I know somebody's Japanese or I overhear, I always bust it out. And Japanese people really appreciate people from non-Japanese cultures
Oh
making the
yeah.
effort to speak their language. So they're always super stoked. So
Oh
yeah,
wow, that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
Wow. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So like one of your first roles I saw was a short film you did it and he sees you. So was it really cool to actually play a demon on the short?
Yeah, that's crazy that you know that. That's like a serious blast from the past. That's like a decade ago. Um, and it's funny because the writer director of that was a guy that I lived with named Joel Brewster. He's
Mhm.
an unreal writer and a huge horror aficionado,
Nice.
and that was one of his first screenplays that he'd written and actually had produced. And yeah, I mean, kind of just got thrown into it, and it was like a lot of it was just a 1 day shoot. We really just runned and gunned it, as they say, and there was a lot of special effects makeup. Like I was in that
Okay.
chair for like a long time, and then I had some gnarly contacts in. They were like
Nice.
making fake veins and stuff all over me, but it was really fun. It was really fun. I love shooting. Horror stuff is so fun.
I
So
love horror. I mean, I'm sure you could tell, right?
yeah, yeah, no, totally, totally, totally. I didn't get that at all. What are you talking about? I thought that was just a decorative pillowcase or something there with the
Oh
Chucky
yeah,
doll.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah. Also love the. Is that a blanket? The crow? Is that
Yes,
like
it's a
a? Oh
blanket
my god!
and a poster too.
What a what a legendary movie.
I That's my all-time best movie. Like I could watch that movie over and over.
Yeah,
Brandon
so
Lee did
good,
such an incredible job, and that's a shame
so
his life
good.
was cut short.
No, what a great movie. I mean, that's a different era of cinema. You know,
Oh, definitely.
um, I think we've made our departure from the golden era of cinema. We're certainly in a golden era of television now.
That yes,
Uh,
yes.
um,
More television, I think, now than films. I think a lot more people love binge watching television series than sitting through a 2 hour film now.
yeah, and it's crazy because the average TV episode length now is not much shorter than the average feature film length back in the late 80s and the 90s when movies ran. A 2 hour movie back then was long, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
And
true.
now you've got TV episodes that are an hour and 10 minutes,
I
and
know.
there's eight of them, and you just burn a workday and sit and watch an entire, which is just crazy when you think about it. The accessibility is just wild. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's some television series I love, like whether it's on TV or streaming, like on Netflix and Hulu and on Amazon and all that stuff. I
mm,
mean, you got so many choices now.
mm, yeah, yeah, yeah. We have a good spread of some like Mike Flanagan stuff. A lot of his stuff is shot
Hmm.
here. Um, Midnight Mass and like a bunch
That
of
was
those
so good.
shows. Oh, so good.
Oh
So,
my
so
God, I
good.
love that show.
Yeah, no, big fan here too. There's some phenomenal acting in that show. The writing was really great. Just
Yes,
some
yes.
really spooky moments too. So, yeah.
And you were even in like you did an episode for a Stephen King series, The Stand, right?
Yeah, that was just an interesting sort of offer that came my way. I'm not above working no matter the scale of the role. I mean, I think at some point in your career there's this idea that you're not allowed to have like artistic integrity until you have a ton of experience.
Mhm.
But I think I heard Philip Seymour Hoffman say once that it's like you actually revert you establish your artistic integrity first and grow into that and set a precedent. All that to say, I don't like I always just want to go and add what I can. And my agent was like, "Hey, there's no lines with this, but it should be fun."
Oh
And
yeah.
so yeah, I went and did that. I can't remember. I think that was like 5 years ago, or maybe less, maybe longer. The pandemic has really sort of messed up. I think not just my sense of time, but time in general for a lot of people. So.
Yeah, no, no, that screwed up a lot of things. Yeah,
Hmm.
definitely.
Totally.
And as long as we're talking about horror, like I remember when it it was out like a few years ago. I watched and it was really good. The horror short that you played the lead in, you played Chris, and
Yeah.
the itsy bitsy spider. And was this like the first time you ever had a lead in like a series or like a film?
I mean, I think had lead roles in other things that while were super fun, were not necessarily organized enough for me to like put them on my resume, or maybe they didn't even see that I'd done stuff as a lead where it just kind of fizzled out in post production. And so, but that was definitely the first lead that I played. Like that was aired and shared quite a bit. So
Yeah. I-
Yeah.
Is there like a when you're the lead of like some whether it's a movie, a short, a series, like when you're the lead, is there a lot of pressure on you, like to basically carry the film because you're the one who's like the main focus of the film, the one who gets like the most ear time? Like, is there like a certain pressure for that?
Um, I think if there's pressure, it's mostly pressure you put on yourself
Mm,
because I think the most seasoned actors or perhaps just people in film in general will know that it really only works if it's collaborative. And so everybody has a job to fulfill, no matter
yeah.
where they are on the totem. And I think you can sort of you can maybe take some of the pressure off of yourself as an actor by knowing that you show up, you know your lines, you understand the story, you're directable, but that you've got people that are gonna light you to make sure you look your best, and you've got a makeup team that's gonna help you to look more tired or less tired or whatever the variation it is. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think as long as you understand that it's a collaboration, there's always going to be pressure anytime you open your mouth.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, of
cer-
course.
Certainly more for I think leads, but I think you have more control over that pressure than you think.
Yeah, definitely. And the short, I'm talking the horror short, itsy bitsy spider. Like, how was like working with Thomas on that short, and sharing those really great scenes that you had with Thomas.
Thomas is like he's the real deal. He is a phenomenal such a phenomenal actor. He's like an artist's artist. We stay in touch. We tag each other in workout videos. A few of us will
Oh,
like do a
nice.
workout and then post the like workout routine and tag one another or whatever. There's a few of us that do that. He just tagged me yesterday. And yeah, we were just having this conversation a couple months ago, and I was congratulating him for something, and he'd said, "Man, that's like the one." Because we both read for that, and then we were called back.
Okay.
This is at the time they were still auditioning actors in the room, which is really a dying sort of thing, if not fully dead for the most part. But we were called back, and we didn't really know, but they sort of picked. They were picking couples that they felt were most suitable for it, and then kind of
Okay.
having them come and read with each other, and then they'd switch out an actor and read with each other. And we were saying the other day, he said, I've never been in an audition, or there are a few auditions I've been in where I was like, I knew we were gonna book it because we just had really great on camera chemistry. Everything
Oh,
kind of came
definitely.
to
Yeah.
us organically in the audition. And but yeah, I can't say enough good things about Thomas. He's such a fantastic human and a superb artist. So yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
And one of the most recent films that you did is called Trap 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 House, which is another horror. So you could
Yeah.
see my theme that I'm going with here with all the horror
Yeah,
questions.
yeah, yeah. Well, remind me to remind you of the horror short that I just shot last week, which
Oh,
is um, the same DP, Jeff Zwicker from Itsy Bitsy Spider. So
really?
you'll have to stay tuned for this one. I think it'll probably do the festival circuit in July. And it's called Defile. The director's name is Brian Zapanizik. He did another horror that was really well received called In the Shadow of God.
Ooh.
And so it's me, um, Tanea Beatty, who's in a season of Yellowstone, Sarah Canning, who was one of the regulars on Vampire Diaries, and
Nice.
Adam Wallaker, who's in The 100 and Riverdale. Not to reduce these actors to these these roles. They're all like really exceptional artists. But
Yeah.
that's the most recent horror, and to tie that
Oh,
back to Itsy Bitsy Spider, same DP, Jeff Zwicker. Um,
are
so yeah.
are you allowed to say what this short is about?
No, I can't. I can't. All I
Okay.
can tell you is it's going to be really good. Um, you can check out Brian's um, previous film, In the Shadow of God.
Mhm.
It's really good. I think you'd really like it. That also has Sarah Canning in it and Adam
Nice.
Lolliker, and it's spooky, man. It's real spooky.
Oh wow.
Um, so yeah, but Trap House, yeah. So Trap House was super fun. I got to work. Not a lot of us get to work with our friends more than once, and one of the guys in that film is one of my best friends. His name's Michael Eklund, and he's the guy with the sort of like spiked hair and the leather
Yeah,
jacket.
yeah.
And he's kind of like leading this group of riffraff around. And so I got to work with him and a bunch of really great actors on that film. And I again, back to the tattoo thing. Like I got to be, I was just cut. They gave me face tats. They made me look absolutely shit, terrible. I don't know what our PG or rating is here, but they made
Oh
me
no,
look
you
terrible.
you're allowed to curse.
All right, all right. Well, I do love a good curse word, but they made me look so bad, which I love. I love going and playing that, so it's not a big deal. But there were a couple tattoos, like I had one on my neck or something, and those are all, some of them were hand drawn, and they're really hard to like duplicate for continuity each day. And so the one day they were like, "Can you keep this one on here if possible? Like maybe just shower around it." And I'm always trying to make everybody's job as easy as possible. So I'm like,
Yeah, of
sure.
course.
And I got home sort of after dinner. It was a really early shoot. And I got home after dinner and I had to run by a store. And I hadn't gotten all the like red because they make me look just totally terrible. I had like really kind of like puffy red eyes and all these face tats. And I went into the store, I think it was a grocery store, and the clerk was just looking at me like you and I'd forgotten at that point that I had all this stuff on me. Then I got home and I looked in the mirror and I was like, all right, that makes sense.
Yeah,
So
I think I'm kind of scaring myself over here.
yeah, yeah.
And and I saw you have a sort of like a recurring role for wild cards.
Hmm.
And out of all the scenes that you did so far for wild cards, is there a certain scene you think you had the most fun doing?
Oh, I mean, I can't talk about. So the character that I play, Ricky, is in 7 of the 10 episodes, and really takes until about episode 6 until he starts really kind of really starts building up and has some much bigger screen time and really kind of more part of the collaboration. Not that I wasn't in the beginning, but the point is the character grows towards the end, and the stuff that I would say, hey, this is not released yet.
Yeah.
And there's some person will pop out of my closet and end my career if I if I give any spoilers. So, but I mean, the stuff that's aired, I think the one scene where I'm kind of poolside doing a bunch of kind of tech work
Yeah, yeah.
in this mansion. That was fun. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And I think what's so fun about that character is I play a lot of kind of loose cannon criminal drug addict type people, which is fun because I'm not really any of those things
Well,
in life.
yeah.
So, and this character, I like to call these roles like the ones my mom loves, like the mom roles, because anytime there was another one I did with Jonathan Rhys Meyers called Wife Like, very bizarre dystopian future movie, and I got to play the protagonist in that film. And
Okay.
my mom, when she found out, was like, "Oh my god, you're finally playing a good guy." Pretty typical mom stuff. But the thing with Ricky is, even though he's kind of like a criminal, he's like a lovable, more sort of regulated,
Yeah.
not a lot of outbursts, a lot more calm and collected. And so that was a lot of fun to play.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And look, growing up, like one of my favorite shows was 90210, and Jason Priestley is actually in this show. And I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if you ever watched 90210. You
Of
you're
course.
you're probably a lot younger than me. No.
I don't know. I don't know. I've got those weird elf genes. People can't quite pin me. So who knows?
Okay. But like how was it like to see someone like Jason Priestley on set? Like I mean, especially if you did watch the show.
Yeah. So Jason and I work together. Uh, I can't tell you what the scenes were, but he's essentially my employer. The story is that like I'm the kind of tech geek butler to Vanessa Morgan's character,
Hmm.
and originally hired, through the family. So him and I do some work together, and he's like such a spectacular human, and a really unreal seasoned artist. I think the business is one that can either like twist people up and they become entitled and aloof, or they were never destined to be that way, and they're a real delight to be around, and that was the case with
Oh,
him,
that's nice.
myself, and Giacomo, that shared a bunch of an episode together. We just were cracking jokes all day and having a good time, and he's just a really cool person and a spectacular actor, really fun to work with. So
Oh, sweet.
yeah.
And it looks like you're in really great shape. You look great. Like what do you do to stay in shape? Like do you have like a certain routine? Do you have a diet? Like
Yeah, I mean, thank you, first of all. It's yeah, I mean, um, I I go to the gym a lot. I've loved being active my whole life, and it is a business where if you can stay in shape as you get older, and that's in your best interest. And so it happens that exercise is probably the biggest, or at least one of the biggest parts of my mental health routine,
okay.
and it's really about keeping my head in check. And then the sort of positive byproduct of that is that I get to stay in good shape. And yeah, I don't know. It's like, if you want to, I think you stay in shape so that when they do cast you in something, that like that pool scene where you got to have your shirt undone, and I'm
Yes.
supposed to be this really like fabulous, well dressed dude, that I don't have to go and like sit in a sauna for whatever you'd have to do. So I try to stay in shape for both my personal sort of interests, and because it's a business, that's not a bad idea to do it. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
So
That's you said I don't have to sit in the sauna for hours to get in shape.
totally. But I mean, if people want to pay me to play a character that's out of shape, by all means, just I'll eat some donuts and I'll stop going to the gym and we'll tell that story.
And
So
go through the drive-throughs of fast food places and
yeah. I mean, back to the diet question, like I am not uh I if I'm say doing something that requires me to have my shirt off or something like that, then I'll be more disciplined leading up to that.
Mhm.
But I really try to. You drive yourself crazy when you start saying I can't have that. I'm not going to have that. I kind of try to practice like an 80-20 rule, you know, like I still want to indulge. I still want to have
Well, yeah,
like
of course.
chips or whatever it is. Um, so I'm not starving myself.
Okay.
I have a healthy balance of exercise, a bit of indulgence, and then kind of healthier eating on the side of that. So
Oh, sweet. Okay. And I always ask my guests this when I have them on because, like I
mm.
said, I'm a big horror guy. Are there any horror films that you like to watch?
um, in terms of films, I mean, there's back to our conversation of the era of you know from which The Crow came out of.
Yes.
I love a lot of horror films from that era.
Oh, yeah.
Really weird ones like the Leprechaun franchise is really bizarre and perverted and weird. And there was this one called Troll that was like
Oh my God,
terrifying.
yes. Yes, I remember that
Um,
one.
I know it's probably more sci-fi for sure, but elements of horror. But like, I loved watching X-Files when I was a kid. Like,
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
way too young though. Like shouldn't have been watching it. Like, probably needed therapy. Like, too young. um, but I'm just a big fan of great stories. And in terms of more recent stuff, I still haven't watched Beau is Afraid, but I've watched all of Ari Aster's other stuff. Like, I
Nice.
love
Nice.
Midsummer, and I'm gapping out on his what's the one with the girl who gets hit by the car? Why am I? What's
Hereditary was good
yeah,
too.
Hereditary. Oh yeah,
Hereditary, yeah.
I'm always the last person to watch the critically acclaimed things. If there's anything you should know about me, it's that I'm like deeply out of touch with pop culture in a way that makes me seem like 1,000 years old, where some person my age will be like, "Oh, did you see this thing?" And I'll be like, "No, I never know what's going on," which maybe is good because I'm not too biased about it. But I was way late to watch Hereditary, and
Okay, okay.
I watched Midsummer first, and
Yeah.
then which is aesthetically a very different film.
Yeah, it is
Like
definitely.
like no jump scares basically in
Hmm.
Midsummer, right? Like,
Hmm.
it's just mostly just kind of an eerie. The way that they shot it all in daylight, it was really weird.
Yes.
But yeah, I thought Hereditary was a masterpiece, which I think most people would agree that
Oh my
appreciate
God,
horror.
yes.
So
Hands down.
yeah, yeah, there should have been some nominations for those actors, I think.
A
But
100% agree,
who am I
yes.
to say? Yeah.
And what's your go-to karaoke song?
Um, I can't think of the Japanese name for it, but it's like an early Japanese karaoke export. It's called Sukiyaki, and
Oh,
I'll spare you my version of it in this interview. But it was very famous back in the like 80s, and most of our parents know it because
oh, okay.
but I really love a bit of Queen. Don't
Nice.
Stop
Yeah.
Me. Don't Stop Me Now is probably my favorite song to sing.
I
So
love that song. Yeah.
so good, so good. If you don't like Queen, are you really living? So,
Right? And even like the new version of Queen's good with Adam Lambert. Like he's doing an amazing job like going on tour with Queen. Like
mm,
he sounds amazing.
that's awesome. I think I've only seen little snippets of it. But yeah, you know those like weird early Facebook things that would come up where it would have like a list of musicians that have all since passed on, and it was
Yeah.
like, enter this quiz if you could go to any concert. Seeing Freddie Mercury and Queen live would probably have been at the top of my list. I
Oh,
just
for
think that
sure.
and I thought the biopic that they did with Rami Malek was really good. I thought
Hmm.
that was great casting, and it was really fun. So
Yeah, such a great band.
agreed.
And Is there anything coming up for you that you want to plug? I mean, I know we talked about a couple of things you're working on, a horror short coming
Hmm.
out. Like, is there anything you're allowed to talk about that you want to plug?
At the moment, I mean, I spent all the way up until mid-November when the last episode of Wild Cards was. I went back to Toronto to shoot that, and then the industry kind of like slows down early December. Even film folk take kind of Christmas off, and then of course the writer's strike
Yeah.
really slowed things down for everybody. And things have really just started picking up in the last, early January, but really in the last like couple weeks. So lots of really fun stuff being cast. Nothing that I'm working on as of yet, but there's a
Hmm.
couple things that are sort of in the decision making period. So, it makes no sense for me to plug something that I'm not fully attached to. So we'll see. We'll see. I'll be working, and yeah. In the meantime, the only thing that I would plug is I make a lot of art, and if anybody ever wants painting, my Instagram, I'll just point here because that's what people do on YouTube and stuff.
That's true.
Link in bio. But yeah, I paint a lot, so I'd plug that if people want some artwork or just to appreciate it on my page. So
Okay,
yeah,
sweet. Well, thank you so much for coming on and chatting and it was really fun meeting you and your artwork looks great. So anyone who is interested in art, definitely go buy your work.
I really appreciate you having me on. I love what you do. So keep doing what you're doing, and
Thank
yeah,
you.
thanks so much.
Of course, buddy. Thank you. It was really great meeting you. Thanks.
And you as well.
Thank you so much. Have a great rest of the week and thank you again for doing this.
Thanks for having me. You too. Hey.
Bye.